Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 95. And this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. So let's get started. I have 20 comics this week, so pretty much a normal amount. Going to worst pick of the week to best pick of the week. Let's get started. Number 20, worst pick of the week is Convergence Detective Comics issue 1. I just didn't really like this issue. I was expecting a bit more of Detective Comics. The thing I actually enjoyed the most about this issue was Superman. The whole connection to the Soviet Union and playing the dome as propaganda, saying, yeah, we created a dome, it's no one else. Don't worry, I still have my powers, but they're using, like, lines to make them fly. I thought that was pretty cool. The other story with Huntress and Dick Grayson, I was pretty bored with. It was like, oh, I guess it's interesting that they both are related to Batman. You know, Dick Grayson finding Batman as a father figure, Helena actually having Batman as her father, then debating who should take over Batman's place. But honestly, the way they connected these two stories, I just didn't like it. And honestly, what also I really did not like was the artwork. The way they put the lines on their faces, the shading, it just did not work with this issue. These are just a few examples. Did not like the artwork at all. So that was a big downfall for even, you know, the Superman story was pretty good. But then the connection, the actual story it came for, which is a Batman related story, I didn't really like. So Convergence Detective Comics issue 1 for me gets 2 stars. It was my worst pick of the week this week. That was number 20. Alright, so we are moving on to number 19, which is... Number 19 is Convergence, issue 4. Yeah, so Convergence is a bit lower than it usually is, but it is usually always pretty low, because it hasn't been a great event book. Not saying I haven't been enjoying the event as a whole, but I'm saying it's not a great event book, because it keeps, you know, going back to Earth 2. And I did pick up Convergence to read Earth 2. I wanted to drop World's End because I didn't like Earth 2, and I originally loved Earth 2 when Tom Taylor was writing it, but then when they did the weekly series and they're pushing Earth 2 so much, I'm like, I really don't care about them anymore. And what I was liking about Convergence, not saying it made it a good event book and it had anything to do with the Convergence, but what I liked about it was Dick Grayson. In this issue, you get maybe 1 or 2 pages of Dick Grayson, seeing what happened when he got paralyzed, and then he's going to have to fight people, and he might get this super suit. That's what we get with Dick Grayson. And then the Earth 2 characters, I could care less about. Connecting to the Red, Deimos being a villain, I don't care. This has nothing to do with Telos and Convergence. Maybe it'll be attached, hopefully it will be, but just did not like this issue. I thought it was pretty boring, and I still don't find the connection of these tie-ins to what's actually going on with this event book. It's become another Earth 2 book, and what I said in my in-depth review, and I still agree with this, this is making me less and less want to pick up Earth 2 Society, not even the first issue. Like, I'm not saying it will be on my pull list, but I was debating getting the first issue, but at this point, I am Earth 2'd out. So Convergence issue 4 for me gets 2.5 stars, and that's number 19. We're moving on to number 18, which is Convergence Crime Syndicate issue 1. This was okay. I think something that brought this issue down a bit was the coloring. I won't even say the artwork. It was just way too bright. It just didn't fit the story that well, and also the art was okay. It could have had a little bit more detail, very thin-lined. Also, I'm just not really attached to the Crime Syndicate. I didn't read the Crime Syndicate before the New 52. The only Crime Syndicate I know is from the New 52. So I just didn't feel attached. And also, the villains they were going against, or the heroes they were going against, were not interesting at all. And with this book, it was interesting because it started out really good. Like, the narration with Superwoman, describing who they were, I was like, whoa, I actually feel like I'm going to really enjoy this. And then, like, as the issue went on, it just got more boring, and I didn't care about it. I think once Superwoman left the picture, I think she is the most interesting character of the Crime Syndicate. It just got really boring. And again, as the issue went on, I just was not interested. So I will not be getting issue 2 of Crime Syndicate. I just didn't love it. So, I give this 2.5 stars. And we are moving on to number 17. Just want to see what grade I gave it. Alright, so number 17 is S.H.I.E.L.D. issue 5. This issue has to do with Wanda teaming up with S.H.I.E.L.D., trying to find out why all these people that possess magic are being attacked. And by the end, there's a bit of cliffhanger, so this will continue hopefully the next issue, or else that'd be weird if it doesn't. Fitz is being controlled by... Get to the character. He's being controlled by Dormammu. I don't really like the magic side of Marvel, so that's why it's a bit lower here. I was actually excited to read it, though, because I like Scarlet Witch as a character. And we even got to see Wiccan here, which was kind of cool. But everything else was just like, I really don't care about this villain, and even the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents weren't as interesting in this issue. I've definitely read better S.H.I.E.L.D. issues. Miss Marvel was better, Invisible Woman was better, trying to think what else came out. But yeah, this was just a little lacking. I'm just not enjoying the magic side of Marvel. And the same thing, they did this Doctor Strange thing with the Spider-Man issue. And obviously at least Scarlet Witch is connected to magic, so it makes sense. But yeah, wasn't interested, didn't really care about the cliffhanger that much. But I will say the artwork was very good. And one thing I loved about the artwork was that they went to this frozen tundra place, or I think it was like Antarctica. And Scarlet Witch is wearing like a pink jacket. Because you know in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, they always wear jackets and really cool outfits when they go to different temperatures. So I thought that was really cool with Scarlet Witch wearing this like pink jacket. She couldn't wear white, she had to wear pink. So the artwork was very detailed. I enjoyed the artwork, and that's something that boosts this issue a bit more, but the story just wasn't that interesting. So S.H.I.E.L.D. issue 5 for me gets 3 stars. I thought it was just okay, and if you like magic, you might like this issue, but if you don't, you really do not need to pick up this issue. And I don't think I'll be getting next issue. I'll get the issue after. That's a good thing about S.H.I.E.L.D. is that you don't need to get every issue. You could just get the issues that interest you and the characters that interest you that's teaming up with S.H.I.E.L.D. Unless you're a super fan, then you get every issue. But I'll probably skip the next issue and just get the next one. Alright, now we're moving on to number 16, which is Nova, issue 30. A bit lower than I want to see Nova. It's, you know, Nova's always this mixed comic. I love the book, but sometimes it just gets a little lower, and this issue did. It was mostly about space, which, not a big cosmic fan of Marvel either. The two things the worlds I don't like about Marvel is the magical world for certain characters, and then the cosmic world, which I've been getting into a bit more because of Guardians of the Galaxy and Nova. Nova, I always felt like balanced the cosmic world and the Earth world very well, and this issue is just mostly about the cosmic world, and I do not care about the villains at all. The one interesting thing about this issue, though, was Nova reconnecting to his father, not knowing that his father might not be the best person in the world, and of course in the beginning of the series he always thought that, and now it might be true that, yeah, he's not the best person in the world. Also, the artwork is okay. It's pretty stylized, but, you know, I like the actual powers they use here, so the coloring is pretty good. Still kind of growing on the art here, though. Seeing a bit better. I feel like I don't see Nova's face at all here. I'm like trying to turn to a page where you see Nova's face, but like all of it's his back. But yeah, so Nova for me, just I didn't love the villains. There's a lot of space stuff, and yes, it was interesting to see his father, but I feel like that story's been going on for way too long. They need to end it, and hopefully the story arc will, and we just like get an ending and deal with the father story on Earth or wherever. Just deal with it. So Nova issue 30 for me gets 3 stars. Alright, moving on to number 15. Yes, number 15 is Princess Leia, issue 3. Another series or another issue that was a bit lower than I wanted to see Princess Leia, because I loved issue 1 of Princess Leia. That was actually my pick of the week when it came out. Issue 2 was a little less impressive, and then issue 3 a little less impressive. This issue is a bit more action-oriented. It's about Princess Leia, people thinking that she's a traitor, she's not, and people discovering she's not a traitor, and they're going to have to try to find the real traitor. That's what the issue is pretty much about. The disappointing thing, again, it's very action-oriented, not a lot of character development here like we got to see with the first issue. Very point A, point B. I won't say filler because it actually gets stuff done, but very point A, point B. Not a lot of, you know, twists and turns, but just, oh, alright, just to get to the next issue, pretty much. Progress the story to get to the next issue. Artwork is very beautiful, though. Really good action here. I do like that, but wasn't totally impressed with this issue, as I've been impressed with the other issues of Princess Leia. So I gave issue 3 3 stars. Moving on to number 14, which is Convergence Society of America, issue 1. This issue I wanted to see higher because I do like Justice Society of America. I read Jeff Johns' run, so obviously I read after this came out. This is definitely the older version of Justice Society of America. With this issue, we get to see that they're old. They're really old, and they are feeling it. Because of the dome, they don't have their powers anymore, so they're feeling how old they are. And they complain a lot about it. They're like, my back, oh my god, I can't go up these stairs. So that's pretty much the whole issue until the end, where Dr. Fate does wake up, and because he was in a coma throughout the issue, he wakes up, and he says, let's do one more battle. And he's like, alright, what do we do? I can't even control my powers at this point because my body can't even handle it, but what do you want to do? And he says, I will make you guys younger, but you guys are probably going to die after. And they're like, alright, let's do it anyways. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like the cliffhanger. I like seeing our old heroes here, seeing them young. And why this issue is a bit lower than I wanted this to be, I like the idea that they described that they were old, but it got, like, really repetitive really quick. Like, I was like, oh, cool, they're old, and now someone different is like, oh, cool, they're old. Alright, his back hurts, I get it. So they just kind of kept repeating how much everything hurt. And I was like, alright, kind of got tired of that a little quickly. So, artwork, though, was beautiful. Really enjoyed the artwork. Think it fit the old style of what they were trying to do here. But yeah, really great artwork. Pretty good story. I liked it. I just wanted to like it a little bit more than I did, but still a good story. So Justice Society of America issue 1 for me gets 3.5 stars. Alright, now we are moving on to number 13, which is a new title, Scarlett Coutoure, issue 1 from Titan Comics. This looks pretty interesting. It's about this fashion mogul's daughter, who's actually a super spy, who has to save all these fashion models that have been kidnapped. And we learned that they were kidnapped from her brother. So very soap opera-ish, but it's out, at least from what I just said. I was like, oh, that seems a bit like a soap opera. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. You know, it's very Charlie's Angels, and it knows what it is. But it was fun to see this girl who was kidnapped from a young age become a secret agent and just, she doesn't need backup. She's pretty badass here. And I like the story about her brother being the villain. I thought they established the world very well. And there's very cartoony art, but it pops really well in the book. So I recommend it for that. One thing I will say about this series, though, I think it's on purpose, but it very much throws out terminologies like, yeah, that's C4. Oh, look at that that Glock. Look at that .45, you know? So they throw out words a lot in this issue, and I feel like it's more of like, oh, we want to validate ourselves, but at the same time, it's just like a little bit too much of the terminology. Not saying I didn't, like, know the terminology, it's just like a little bit too much terminology in the issue. But overall, I thought this is really fun. I think this series has a lot of potential, and it might be a cool mini-series to pick up. And I think it's a mini-series. But I enjoyed it. I'll be getting issue 2. Issue 1 grabbed me enough to get issue 2. So I give Scarlett Coutoure issue 1 3.5 stars. I thought it was fun. Alright, moving on to number, I think 12? To number 12, which is Outcast, issue 8, Robert Kirkman's Image book, which I've still been debating about what to think about this title. This title will be a TV show, supposedly, soon, and I like it. It's very much a slow burn, though. It's a book that I'm interested in the characters, but it's very slow, and this issue's pretty much the same thing. We get to see Kyle exploring his power a bit more, exploring about the devil, what this world's all about, and wanting to get back to his wife, and we even explore his sister a bit here. But I like the story they're going towards. It's finding out the people that are cured, the people that they why can't I think of the word right now? Take the demon out. I know the word, and probably by the end of this video, I was like, oh yeah, that. I know it's like X. I can't even think of the movie right now. But anyways, so they want to take the demon out, and the people that have previously done this are still bad people. So is the demon still within them? Like this girl who is like a kind of older daughter, she's now a runaway because she ran off and still has this evil personality within her. So I think that's interesting. It's like, yes, we have the power. Kyle and this priest has the power to do something right, but are they doing something right? Are they helping? And how many people can they help? They can't help everybody, but they want to help everybody. And something that really draws me to Outcast also is the artwork, the way, the paneling where you could get to see a real close-up of everyone's faces, the facial expressions, and also the coloring fits this issue very well, and this series very well. But again, slow burn issue, but I see a lot of potential with it. So Outcast issue 8 for me gets 3.5 stars. Alright, so we are moving on to number... we're moving on to number 11, which is Daredevil, issue 15. A little lower than I want Daredevil to be. I think it's a bit misleading, this issue, because we get to see Kristen McDuffie. She's, you know, she's on the cover, but she's not really in the issue that much. It's mostly about the Owl's daughter. I want to say it's the Owl's daughter. And her name is Jubula Pride. So she is the daughter, and we find out that she actually backstabs Matt here, and all Matt's secrets and all Matt's clients' secrets are revealed. So now they have to hide out, and everyone knows that Foggy's alive. So that's the end of the issue, and one thing he has to do now is go make a deal with the devil, and that's Kingpin. He's going to have to fix everything, and that very much relates to the Netflix show, seeing Kingpin again. There's some things that actually felt like related to the Netflix show, which was kind of cool to see. Maybe it's just because I watched a Netflix show, learned more about Daredevil, or they did that on purpose. As always, artwork is beautiful for this series. I think it fits it so well, except, you know, Matt's new costume is still really annoying. But I do like the artwork overall, besides his costume. But I like the other girl's costume. I thought she had a cool outfit there. But yeah, this issue was okay. I thought it dragged a bit, and I didn't really care about the villain character. I wanted to care more about her, even though they had this whole backstory. I felt like, I've seen it before, you know? So didn't care much about the backstory or the villain. I think that's what took us out of the, or at least out for me, of this issue. But I like the ending. We're getting to see secrets being revealed. I like that, and obviously the cliffhanger was very good. But the beginning towards the middle were a little bit slow for me. So Daredevil issue 15 for me gets 3.5 stars. And I'm still obviously excited to see where it goes. Alright, moving on to number 11? No, 10. We're up to number 10, which is Silver Surfer, issue 11. I loved Silver Surfer last issue, and I gotta say, I think Dan Slott's Silver Surfer is very under the radar. And I try to promote it a bit more because I really do enjoy the series. I think it's a very solid series, and it's something different that I've never really seen with Silver Surfer. And I've never been a big Silver Surfer fan. I've always wanted to get into his character, but it's always too cosmic for me. And I think Dawn grounds this book so much, and I love the relationship with Norrin and Dawn. And this issue is very unique. It's oversized, so it's $4.99. It's a bit on the expensive side, but it's about Norrin trying to find a planet for the people that he destroyed their planet. So he's trying to find a planet for them. And Dawn is upset, and she, because she found out about what Norrin did in the past, and she's like, well, why didn't you tell me? I can't trust you. And by the end, she does forgive Norrin, and she has to make a decision if she's gonna go back to Earth or if she's gonna stay and have adventures with Norrin, if she can accept Norrin. And this issue is very unique because it's going back and forth. You get twisted here, and twisted here because there's a paradox. They kept doing the same thing over and over again. And that's really what the issue's about. And then finally, Norrin's able to break through that and find a planet for these people. And I like that we actually, what I did like about the twisting turning thing is that at one point you get to see Dawn's point of view, and the other point it was Silver Surfer's point of view. And that's really cool to what the theme of this book is. It's really about Dawn and Norrin. So I thought that was a very cool concept that we saw here. But I will say it kind of took me out of the issue at the same time because it got really confusing. I'm like, what's happening? Where's this? And I felt like it was too much twisting, turning, but I feel at some points it really did add more to the story, like the Dawn perspective and the Norrin perspective. It was very long, I will say that. I think it was a bit too long, the issue. I kind of wish this was just a 399 book and had everything it had, but just condensed it a bit more. I think I would have enjoyed the issue a lot more if it did that. But I love the relationship Dawn and Norrin has, and it's explored a lot in this issue. And you know, Dawn not being able to forgive Norrin, and then the elder lady of this planet saying, well, if we forgive him, why can't you? And she's like, well, he lied to me. I can't accept that. It would be interesting to see Dawn's past. Maybe someone else has lied to her. That's why she can't do this. But she felt close to Norrin, and, you know, she's seen the world because of Norrin. So will she go back to Earth, or will she stay with Norrin? How will their relationship be after this? So there's a lot of great emotional beats here that I think Dan Slott did very well here. And yeah, Silver Surfer issue 11. I think it's a under the radar series. I do think there's a bit too much twisty turny. It was a bit too big of an issue. It's a bit expensive for the issue, but still a very interesting read. So overall, I gave Silver Surfer issue 11 3.5 stars. But if it was condensed, I probably would have given it higher. Alright, now we're moving on to number 9, which is Justice League issue 40. The Magic Mike cover. But yeah, Justice League issue 40 was interesting. I will say I'm not into the whole Crisis Infinite Earth stuff. I didn't read all of it. So I will say I was a little unfamiliar with Anti-Monitor, but I thought this was very interesting because this issue, you know, compared to Convergence we've talked about, gave me more of an insight on Convergence than Convergence did, or at least the main title did, and that was really interesting because now I'm like, oh wait, something actually might change because of Convergence, and I never felt that with the title Convergence. It's actually explaining the event a bit more. Even though it's very skeptical or, you know, very mysterious what's going on, they do explain a bit more. And I thought it was an interesting story with New Genesis. I know I'm going to get these planets wrong, but New Genesis and Darkseid's planet, that they had to switch suns to go in different planets. And now there's like, oh, well, Darkseid's gone. Now it's going to be the anti-gods, and the Darkseid's daughter is gonna kill Darkseid. And I thought that was a really cool twist. I was like, oh wait, Darkseid's daughter? Like, how many children does this guy have? But I really enjoyed that. The artwork was beautiful. Also how they did the past worlds that we saw. Very interesting issue. I thought it just gave us a lot and that we haven't really seen in previous Convergence issues. So Justice League issue 40 I thought was a pleasant surprise, and it was a good issue. So 4 stars for me for that. Number 9. Alright, moving on to number 8, which is the Fantastic Four issue 645. That is number 8. I was pleasantly surprised with Fantastic Four, because usually with these big books we get to see one main story and then 4 stories that mean nothing. And this is a $6 book, so I would say it's a bit lower because it is $6. And I would say the main story was the one that interested me less. I liked the other 4 stories more. The main story is definitely more about action, and what I was disappointed with this issue was I felt like it wasn't an ending to the Fantastic Four. I wanted to cry. I want to be like, oh no, Fantastic Four is gone. They just say, you know, they disband. Now it's just like, no, we're not gone. It's just like an end of a story arc. But we still don't have Fantastic Four. So that kind of confused me. I was like, oh, alright, so what's going on here? Why are they ending Fantastic Four? Maybe because of the movie? I don't know. But it felt a little weird that it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like an ending to a story arc, but not to the Fantastic Four, which I guess is happy. I'm happy about that. But at the same time, I want to know why the series is not going on anymore. But yeah, the 4 short stories were great. And what I loved about it went into everyone's character. We got to see Johnny, you know, hook up with his old girlfriend, so that progressed his story. He has his powers back. Thing just like, you know, doing destruction duty, and he's like, oh, of course I would do it, but you know what, I love doing it anyways. Sue comforting Franklin because he's scared that his dimension would come back again. He's scared that he'll have nightmares, and those nightmares will come true, and I thought that was a good heart-to-heart. But my favorite story was actually with Mr. Fantastic and Valeria, where Valeria is obviously the smartest person ever, and they go to a beach, and they just kind of enjoy themselves, and Valeria is trying to analyze the beach. It's like, oh, this is sand. What does sand mean? But by the end, it's just them enjoying themselves and enjoying nature. It's not everything has to be about science. Things could just be about beauty and about life. And about the human aspect of life. So I really enjoyed that story. So all four of them I thought were really good because you went into the heads of all the Fantastic Four members, and that was very character driven. The first story was very action driven, but I guess that's what was good about this issue, because if you're more of an action driven person, you get that story. If you're more of a character driven person, you get that also. So Fantastic Four for me, yes, I felt a little bit unsatisfied with it not being the end, but at the same time, there's a lot of great moments in Fantastic Four. So issue 645 for me gets 4 stars. Alright, so we are moving on to number 7, which is Injustice Gods Among Us Annual Issue 1. Now this is actually a series I've been debating of dropping, but I want to pick up Batgirl. I want to see her appearance in Injustice. But with this issue, I was like, whoa, this is kind of going back on track. First story was okay. I think the reason I didn't love year 3 is because I'm not a big Magic fan, as we talked about. And this first story is about Constantine, you know, betraying Batman. It's all about Constantine. And I didn't really like it that much because I'm not a big Constantine fan. But I will say the artwork was really great for the Constantine story. And, you know, it's just fills in some gaps of year 3. So if you enjoyed year 3, you get that story. The second story is what I loved and why this issue's a lot higher than you might think. Titans. We get to see the Teen Titans of the Injustice universe and seeing how Superboy reacts to Superman killing the Joker. And this is back in year 1. And, you know, Cassie trying to help him, and, you know, you get to see that great relationship. Dick Grayson being part of this second generation of Teen Titans, technically. It was a great mixture of first generation, second generation here. You had Starfire, Cassie, Dick Grayson, Tim being a new person, part of the team. So it felt very Young Justice in a lot of ways, actually. But yeah, going back to it, we get to see Superman almost kills Connor. He's like, alright, well, if you don't want Connor to die, you go into the Phantom Zone. And the Titans are a family, so they're like, yeah, we'll go into Phantom Zone. And he's like, oh, well, I promise I'll take you guys out. Maybe year 4 we'll actually see the Teen Titans. I would love to see that. But I thought this was just a great story. It went back to why I liked Injustice in the first place. It's those little twists about Superman, how evil he is, but it's a little twist of characters we know. Like Superboy, he says, I love this S. I wanted to make this S mean something because of you. And he's like, but now you killed the Joker and it means nothing. And also the way the Kents react to this, like, well, they're like, I guess I understand. It was like kind of a weird aspect. It's like they were like, oh, well, I have to go find Clark and like slap his face. It wasn't that aspect. It was just like, I guess I understand his situation. But, you know, Superboy just not understanding it and trying to figure out a way to understand it. And then I love the moment, again, of the Titans saying, yeah, we're family. We're going to go with you. We'll do anything for Connor. And they go into the Phantom Zone to do so. Maybe which is probably a smart thing because of all this war going on between Batman and Superman. But I thought this was a really great story with Titans. If it was only Titans, I think it would be my top 5. But I do think the Constantine story kind of brought down the actual issue, but still a great issue, especially that Titan story. So Justice Gods Among Us Annual Issue 1 Year 3 for me gets 4 stars. Moving on to number 6. Superior Iron Man Issue 8, almost to the top 5. I thought this was a really interesting issue. We get to still see the Mark II, or the AI of Tony, try to defeat this other Tony, our superior Iron Man. And it's just not happening. Everything he tries to do, it just won't work. And now we get to see, you know, Superior Iron Man, just, you know, he's having all these girls around him, but at the same time trying to defeat our Mark II Iron Man. And it's going to be war. We get to see Mark II Iron Man bring these other Iron Man suits, and then Superior Iron Man using the civilians as pawns, literal pawns in his story. And then he becomes ultra kind of Hulkbuster Iron Man in the end. And then next issue, which I am super excited about, we're going to see Pepper as Rescue again. It's been such a long time. But also I really enjoyed Pepper here interacting with Teen Abomination. You know, Teen Abomination, and I saw this on Bleeding Cool, and I do agree with it. You know, Teen Abomination saying he's not comfortable with his body, never felt like he is part of his body. So it goes to the idea of transgender. So they didn't directly say, like, Teen Abomination's transgender, but I thought that was interesting how they put it there, but it wasn't, like, totally forced into it, kind of like they did in All New X-Men. I thought they did it really well with the whole, I guess, I would say analogy of being transgender there. So I thought that was pretty cool how they did that with Teen Abomination. And I saw that on Bleeding Cool, or else I probably wouldn't have noticed it, but I thought that was cool. Yeah, going back to it, I thought Pepper was really great because she's trying to not be a motherly figure to Teen Abomination, but being there for him. And there's just a cool moment where Teen Abomination breaks his bed, and then, you know, Pepper goes running and just tries to comfort him and say, oh, you know, it's an excuse to sleep at work, and, you know, it'll help my social life. I thought that was a really cool moment. And then the artwork's just beautiful for the series. Great artwork. So just a lot of great character moments. Even though the Mark II Superior Iron Man moments I thought were a little lacking at times, I do think, I don't know where the story's gonna go with this, and I'm more excited for Pepper versus Tony. That's what or Superior Iron Man. I'm very excited about that. But very solid issue, and very excited for the next issue. So Superior Iron Man issue 8 for me gets 4 stars, and that was number 6. All right, so we're moving on to number 5, which is number 5 is Convergence Shazam, issue 1. Yes, so I really enjoyed this. This is my favorite Convergence issue. This is the last Convergence issue on the list, but I enjoyed it because, you know what, it was very classic Captain Marvel. Seeing the team again, we get to see, you know, Mary, Freddy, Billy, and them not having their powers, and then having to go against their, you know, their big villains, like, I don't know all their names, so hold on. Let me get the name if I can. Let's see. Mr. Atom. Yeah, so we just get to see some of their big villains, and then we get to see Tawny come to the rescue. It was just a really fun issue, and by the end, they get their powers back, and the world's being destroyed, and they're like, oh, what do we do? And I like this issue because it just felt more about Shazam. It wasn't about, like, oh, let's fight different worlds, let's go, you know what Convergence is all about. It was actually seeing this classic Shazam story that I think we all miss, you know, seeing the Captain Marvel family actually fighting together and interacting with each other a bit more. So it was just a really fun issue. Artwork was beautiful. Facial expressions I love too. Look at Mary Marvel's facial expression there. That really boosted up the issue for me. So Convergence Shazam was just a blast. It was fun. Only complaint, probably I couldn't connect to the villains as much, but that was because I didn't read the Fawcett City Shazam. But I enjoyed the actual Captain Marvel stuff, which was very fun to read. So Convergence Shazam issue 1 for me gets 4 stars. That was number 5. We are moving on to number 4, which is Silk issue 3. Yeah, this is a really fun issue of Silk. It's a bit lower than the last issue, because last issue was Pick of the Week, and there is a weird cliffhanger with the Fantastic Four. Like, oh, where did that come from? But other than that, this is a fun issue. I wanted a bit more flashbacks, but we get to see that Silk is going against this minion, a black cat, and we find out why the minion is a minion, and he gives a sob cliche story of like, oh, I'm doing this because my wife left, and then I'm trying to support my daughter, and Cindy's like, oh, well, I think that's a lie, but I'm going to help you anyways, and then we find out he actually wasn't lying, and I thought that was a really cool little twist there, and Black Cat's actually becoming a villain, and I'm like, alright, this actually is a bit more in her character, or at least a bit more interesting what they've been doing in Amazing Spider-Man of her being a villain. I thought so far the stories that made Black Cat an okay villain, or, you know, her new side, is Hawkeye vs. Deadpool, and now this series. And hopefully it continues to do well. So, yeah, really cool. I love the cartoony artwork here, and I thought it was a nice twist. Yes, I could have used more flashbacks. Cliffhanger was a little weird just to throw in a love interest for Silk, but it's still a very fun issue. So Silk issue 3 for me is number 4. Alright, so we're moving on to number 3, which is Morning Glories, issue 45. Really glad to see Morning Glories on top 5. It hasn't been on top 5 in a little while, but this was a great issue. We get to see a bit more of a backstory on Jade, and learning more about her power and why she wanted to kill herself all that time. We learned more about her mother, and her mother thought she was a devil because she brought her mother back to life. And now Horatio and Guatemala, I want to say, I never say his name right, but Guatemala, they want to bring the real Horatio back and, you know, his love back. So they're like, all right, we'll bring, Jade, you could die, you could sacrifice yourself. And he's like, wait, I don't want to die. And he's like, oh, well, you always want to die. He's like, no, I don't want to die anymore. After all these situations, I wanted to die. He's like, all right, but then use your power to bring back people. He's like, well, they don't always come back the way you want them. My mother ended up like this, a crazy woman. So do you want to see that to your loved one? Just a great issue. And one thing I loved about this issue, too, is that we learned a little bit more about the Morning Glories universe, which, yes, we always do with every issue, but I felt like we had got a little bit more clues in this issue than we usually do. Finding out that they admit that they all have powers, and Jade's like, and then not understanding that they have powers. They know something's different about them, but they don't know exactly what. He's like, oh, they could read invisible pages, they could, you know, bring people back to life, and it was just really cool. It was cool to see more of Jade, because we haven't seen her in a while. We learned a lot in this issue, and I just had a really great time reading it. So Morning Glories for me gets 4 stars, and now is number 3. Moving on to number 2, Invincible, issue 119. Really, really great issue. I love Invincible. It's one of my favorite series to read every month. It is cheap, too. That's always good, too. $2.99, cheap book. Glad to see comics like that. But seriously, what I love about Invincible is that it's not just a superhero book anymore. It's about Mark, it's about Adam Eve, and it's about their family. And with this issue, it's with Mark dealing with his daughter getting sick and not knowing why. And you see him react to that. And he's like, I want to know what happened to my daughter. And he blames his brother's fiance. He's like, well, you poisoned her, whatever food it was, and it was the food. But now they know that, you know, the dietary plan of a kid in this planet has to be a bit different, and they learned that. And you know, she's fine now, and now it's pretty good. And I also really enjoyed the ending of this book, because obviously this craziness is going on. They can't talk about what Mark revealed in the last issue, which was that he got raped. And Adam Eve's like, you know, I freaked out in the beginning, and I had to process it, and we're gonna get through this, and that's what happens. And also, a story going on is what's been going on is the fight between I want to get there, Trog and Omega Man. I'm hoping I got that right. Yeah, Omega Man. I don't know why that sounds wrong. But yeah, so Throg and Omega Man, they've been fighting each other. So this big battle for all these issues, now Mark is going to have to handle it. Does he want to handle it? He's a retired hero. So overall, a very good issue. I will say the one thing I didn't love about it is probably leading into the next issue. I don't really care about Throg in that story. I don't know if that's going to be an issue I love, because I really enjoy what's going on with Adam Eve and his daughter. But yeah, still very well done issue. As always, Kirkman knows how to hurt your heartstrings and tug on your heartstrings. And just some great character moments throughout the issue, and then beautiful artwork. Just beautiful artwork here. So overall, I gave Invincible issue 119 4 stars. Very well done issue, and of course excited to read more. Alright, now we're moving on to number 1. What is number 1? Number 1 is Batman issue 40. Yeah, Batman is number 1. I don't think it's been number 1 in a really long time. But I really enjoyed the end of Endgame. It's a very poetic ending to the Joker and Batman, because it seems like they die in the end. And we find out, thank God, that Joker's origins is not revealed, and he's probably not immortal. So they're just lying next to each other in the end. And Batman knew he was kind of going on a suicidal mission, so he leaves a note to Alfred just saying, ha. And it just shows how crazy both of them are, and that's always been the point, is that Batman's a certain type of crazy, and that's why he could go up against the Joker, and why they're perfect hero and villain for each other. And just like Smallville says, the hero's not, the villain is only as good as its hero. And I think that plays a part in, yes, Superman and Lex Luthor, but also Batman and Joker. It's just a really well done issue. And yes, it was very much a slow burn in the beginning of this story arc, and I think Batman in general is a slow burn. But just very well done, very poetic, artwork's beautiful, and also dialogue just great. The way Alfred reacts to it also, him not even turning to his daughter when he hears the news, just was beautiful. Love that. So just a wonderful issue. And I will say the only problem I had why I didn't give it 5 stars was the Dick Grayson twist. I thought it was a little weird that Dick Grayson was replacing Batman there. Of course, obviously we know he's done it in the past, but what I thought was weird about it is that the Bat family still doesn't know he's alive. And I wasn't sure if the Bat family was seeing all of this, knowing that Dick Grayson was Batman. I don't know if they knew the plan or not. So I thought that was the bit of the weird thing. That's a minor nitpick, though. I think it's because I still have a grudge of Batgirl not knowing that Dick Grayson's alive and Bruce keeping these secrets still, even after death of the family, saying, hey, let's stop keeping secrets from each other. But yeah, Batman issue 40 is definitely my pick of the week. Very poetic, and if you're a fan of the Joker and Batman, you have to read this issue, and it's definitely worth all the hype it's been getting and the, you know, the sellouts it's been getting. It's just a very well done issue. So 4.5 stars for me. Batman is my pick of the week. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also in the description below, there's links for my comic book, Like Father Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father Like Daughter. Hope you guys enjoyed, and of course I'll have Comic You Know episode 96 next week. I'll see you guys later. Bye.